Welcome once again to the Party of One podcast, the actual play RPG podcast where the gaming table is always set for two. I'm your host as always, Jeff Stormer. This week on the show, I am so beyond excited. I am sitting down with Joshua Meehan for a game of Ironsworn Starforged. Joshua is the artist on Ironsworn Starforged, as well as the upcoming Sundered Isles, a pirate-themed expansion for Ironsworn Starforged, which, at the time of this recording, is currently on Kickstarter and fully funded, blowing through stretch goals. Go pick up the game, because let me tell you this. Ironsworn Starforged might be my favorite game. It's certainly probably the game over the last 3 years that I've played the most because it is a sci-fi adventure role-playing game for one or more players. It has a really well fleshed out solo game mode, as well as versions of the game that are sort of guided play, like what Joshua and I do here, as well as GM-less play, co-op play, the game calls it. And this is the game that I turn to when I am sitting by myself looking to amuse myself and imagine to pass the time. I will crack open Starforged and start rolling on tables, imagining situations. The game is so rich and well developed. Like, this is easily my favorite, what I would call like adventure RPG. I love Ironsworn, and Ironsworn Starforged just makes so many like big structural improvements on it that just like it's so close to my heart. This game is genuinely so special to me. And I've been so deeply excited for Sundered Isles since Sean Tompkin, designer of Ironsworn, announced it. The idea of adding all of this cool, like, fantasy pirate, cool weirdness to the game is so exciting to me. And, like, everything about it is just so cool. And, like, I'm beyond hype. I'm struggling to find the words to express how excited I am. Anyway, Sean, if you happen to be listening to this, I really love your games. And truly, a not inconsiderable part of what really captivated me about Ironsworn Starforged is Joshua's art, which captures this sense of humanity and struggle and intense action and solitude and just like a vibe that is so rich and cool and exciting that like I am so excited. The bits of art that I've seen from Sundered Isles are amazing. Anyway, I have rambled about this for so far too long. So I will end this very long ramble by saying, Sundered Isles is currently on Kickstarter. Go back that, make it a reality, get your copy of Ironsworn Starforged because it's one of my favorite games ever made. And go to the show notes. You can find more information about Ironsworn Starforged, all of Joshua's art. You can find links to all of that stuff in the show notes. Now, with all that said, let's throw it over to me in the past so that he can get started with the show. Take it past me. Thanks, future me. I am so very, very excited to be sitting down with Joshua Meehan. Joshua, thank you so much for coming on Party of One.
Thanks a lot for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm a big fan.
I'm so happy. I am a big fan of yours, and so I am very happy to hear that. I am thrilled to be sitting down with you today. I'm thrilled to be sitting down to play this particular game with you today, but before we get into all of that good stuff, why don't you take a moment and let our lovely listeners at home know about anything you've got going on that you might want them to know about?
Sure, I'd love to. Hey, everybody. My name is Joshua Meehan. I'm the lead illustrator and artist over on Ironsworn Starforged, which is designed by Sean Tompkin. And currently, I have been delving the depths of the new supplement called Sundered Isles and producing the artwork for that, coming here fairly soon, actually, if not already when this airs.
I always treasure the chance to get to say this on mic. I genuinely love the artwork in Ironsworn Starforged so much. Like, it's the stuff that, like, the work that you've done does so much to make that game come to life. And the game itself is, like, genuinely one of my favorite games in the world. But, like, the artwork for it is fantastic. And everything I've been seeing from Sundered Isles looks just like the coolest shit on the planet.
Oh, thank you. No, it is a labor of love. And Ironsworn is my favorite game. And when I saw that Sean had put out a call for artists, I honestly didn't think I was going to be good enough. So I was like, whatever, he can tell me no. And I threw it out there and it became way more than I thought it ever would be.
The stuff that you do have, like, your art has brought so much to it, and like it genuinely like captures such a specific tone that I think adds so much to it, and also like I just fucking love Ironsworn and all of the Ironsworn games. Like, we were talking about this before we got on mic, but like the amount of like tools that people have developed and the way that the game has all of these intuitive little touches that translate so well to like a single player experience, a duet experience. It's just, this game fucking rules. I'm so excited to play it today.
I will say one of the coolest aspects about making the art for the game is that Sean was making the tables and truths at the same time. And so I was rolling on those to create the prompts so that the way that I play the game is also how we made the art and how you play the game as well. So
That's
it was
so
all
sick.
just
That
a whole bunch
rules.
of campaign of fun.
That's I love that. I love that so much. That makes me so happy. Speaking of Iron, let's go ahead and get into the game because I love this game a lot and I'm very, very excited. So, Ironsworn Starforged. At a high level, this is a game about people surviving in the furthest reaches of space. You know, it is very explicitly, I think the game cites like The Expanse, The Mandalorian. It is very people making their way in a dangerous and desperate cosmos. We have kind of rolled up a version of our little corner of the universe, the Forge, and your character has found themselves in a bit of a desperate position. So why don't you take a moment and introduce your character, their background, and tell us like where they currently find themselves.
Absolutely. Today I have the pleasure of playing Static, aka Vera Silvius, who's rejected a duty or destiny and is now finds themselves a banner sworn of Clan Reuben. Their ship, Ultraviolet, claimed in the spoils of war, has been found or is run aground on this ocean world, uncharted, and is desperately trying to complete the vow they swore to deliver an important piece of or device to a station known as Pinnacle Station. That is, which ties into our truths that were set up prior to today. The sector that we're in has been known as the Forgotten Web, and our one shot that we go through today will be recalling the events of Horizon.
Fantastic. I'm so excited. Yeah, so you are on this sort of like island planet. This is a world that is primarily water. It is, you know, lush sort of greenish skies. There's bountiful life, but it is primarily island. It is primarily like aquatic life forms. And you have found yourself stranded on like a small island just off of a coast. Describe to me a little bit of what Static's like the camp that Static has made for themselves. Describe me a little bit about what this camp looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. The ship Ultraviolet has been partially submerged in the water with the rear hangar bay doors open aloft, hanging up above and jerry-rigged across this structure are the synthetic fabrics of a parachute survival device that shimmers in vibrant oranges and yellows with reflective beacons or icons of Clan Reuben in these geometric shapes, so that as if anyone were to scan in the area, they would get ping back. However, they have been here for weeks, trying to get the ship to no avail back into working service after an encounter that had caused them to make an emergency landing on this uncharted world.
Oh yeah, you've been here for some weeks. You've been making your way, and recently, let me ask you this. There is like a key piece, like one part of your ship, one part of Ultraviolet is damaged. And there is like one system that is down that like if replaced would give you what you needed to get the ship out of the water and back into the skies. you have just received like as you've been kind of like making your way, you've been tinkering, you've been kind of hammering away at the ship. You've just kind of your ship's sensors have just kind of activated and given you an alert that there is another cruiser that similar to the Ultraviolet has partially resurfaced some a short distance away, like it was partially submerged and it has kind of washed up onto a shore not far from where you're at. That you have reason to believe you might potentially be able to find this working subsystem on board this other jump ship.
Awesome. Yeah,
what system do you think that is?
This system is a system that's not easy to replace. It is a specific redundancy device used to counteract the temporal distortions caused by the sundering.
Oh.
And it is called a temporal radiator.
I like that. Yeah. The temporal radiator is fried, which means that if you were to go out into space, like if you were to activate your FTL drive, and really like the second you kind of left an atmosphere, the technical thing that you've been told is that time and space get fucky.
Yeah.
We don't know if that's about as much as you've been able to like hold on to. There's some quantum science that goes into that, but the best way to describe it is that stuff gets fucky real quick. Your working theory is that somewhere on board this other vessel, there's got to be a radiator, and if it's in one piece, if it is in a working position, if it's in working condition, you should be able to, rip it out, bring it back, swap it out, and potentially the Ultraviolet would be able to get out of the water and back into orbit, and you'd be able to get back onto your way.
Yeah, and I think as they are thinking about this, as Static has been running their own cost benefits here, they are seeing darkened, the winds start to pick up, have been picking up more and more. They realize that time is running out as the environmental global hurricanes that are known on this ocean planet that they saw as they were descending in orbit are beginning to traverse the planet and get closer to this island.
I'm so glad you mentioned that because like I do have a clock here in front of me that says the hurricane approaches, and I was going to drop it at a dramatic moment, but I'm glad that you were a step ahead of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're limited in time. You've got this hurricane approaching, and you have this, and you have a pretty good idea. What is there anything you would like to do before you kind of start to, I guess, make your way? It's going to be like, I imagine at this point, at some point in the last weeks, like, I'm going to just kind of give you this, that you were able to like craft some kind of like a boat or a raft or some way of like getting around some of these smaller islands and making your way. Like, I'm not going to force you to make a boat here live on the mic.
Sure. We can, one of the things about being an Ironsworn is being independent and crafty and able to MacGyver what you need for the situation. And Vera or Static is very good at that. Actually, they have a knack for it with to the point where they're known as a gearhead. So one of the things we could do is when we do make a move to craft, repair, repurpose, or modify an equipment or tech. So when we start to MacGyver things, you can add +1 and take +1 momentum on a hit. So I'm wondering if as a secure an advantage move before heading out, we can see how well this or what advantage this craft Vera has made could.
That sounds great. I think that'll be good, especially because like you were able to get a read of this on your scent. Actually, I might have you roll twice because there's another thing that I want you to roll me first to see what information you can glean, and this might actually be a gather information to start out with.
Definitely do a gather information. So
Because I think what I want from you, what I want at this moment is to see like what you are able to, what you know going into this about the jump ship Mabrian.
Okay. What do they know about the jump ship Mabrian? So as for gathering information, when you search for clues, conduct an investigation or analyze evidence, or do research, roll plus wits. So I will be able to, I'm going to select wits. I'm going to roll plus an attribute. And I rolled a 3 plus 3 for my wits. And I have no additional bonuses to add, giving me a 6. I also rolled that against an 8 and a 2 on the challenge die, giving us a weak hit.
All right. On a weak hit, you provide you receive new insight, but it also complicates your quest. So take +1 momentum. Momentum you can burn at any time to take that as your action result instead of what you roll. If you really want to in a moment, if you really want to seal the deal in a key moment, you can burn your momentum to do that. What you realize is that like the ship is similar to yours. It is partially submerged. It is stranded on a coastline. It's off the coast of one of these islands. It's a short jaunt away. Like you should be able to get there pretty quickly. But to get to where you need to fully detach the temporal radiator, you are going to have to go underwater. Like you are going to have to submerge at least a little bit.
Perfect.
In order to get the radiator fully unhooked and get it back onto a craft where you can get back to your ship. So you are going to probably need to, whether it's modifying the gear on board the ultraviolet or modifying your ship or the makeshift craft that you've been living with for the last few weeks to give you a little bit of an edge underwater. Like you are going to need to like craft some gear to make that happen.
Okay. Yeah. I think then why don't we do it where Static is going to take one of these bubble turrets that was stationed on the fixed onto this ship, the Ultraviolet, as it was acquired during spoils of war during an altercation with the beginnings of the Founders Clan's wars and against a rival clan there. And so they are going to be able to take this off. It hasn't functioned its primary function of being able to fire weapons in forever, but it's still able to be sealed tight, and they'll be able to use it as like a diving bell that they can hook it up to the craft and then use it as a way to submerge down and get back up.
That sounds great. Roll me. That sounds great. Give me a secure advantage. I think this is absolutely with expertise, focus, or observation. I think you can roll plus wits here.
All right.
And we'll see what happens.
I rolled a 6 plus 3 for my wits, which comes out to a 9.
Pretty great roll.
However, the challenge dice, our D10s, gave us a 2 and a 9 for another weak hit.
On a weak hit, did you add your +1? Did you add your +1 for Gearhead to that?
I did not add my +1 for Gearhead, which does make it a 10. So this is a strong hit.
This is a strong hit, so you're taking +2 momentum plus an additional momentum for being a Gearhead, so you're adding 3 momentum, which is a great result. And you're going to get +1 on your next move that is not a progress move. So you're able to pretty accurately, these turrets are designed to pop off if they get damaged, right? Like they are designed to come off. It is kind of a crumple zone. So you're kind of able to pop the thing off, settle into it, and there's actually I'm gonna go so far as to say like there is a feature on it where if they pop off and there is a pilot inside, they've got a little like rotor that can be like kickstarted a little bit.
Nice, yeah.
To kind of allow them almost it's not quite a parachute, but it's enough to kind of like let them like pilot to safety if they're in the atmosphere.
I like that.
So you've got this kind of makeshift submarine that you're able to like, and knowing what you know, you're able to get to the Mabrian pretty quickly.
Awesome.
You get there, you start to make your way. And given that you are in this like bubble ship, you're kind of able to move submerged, which is helpful because as you start to make your way, like there are one of the life forms on this world are Zarks, which are herds of tiny rodent-sized bottom grazers that scour the shallows. As you start to submerge, as you kind of make your way towards the location of the Mabrian, a school of these Zarks like sail past your ship, and when a herd of Zarks like moves in that way, like you've been around long enough to know that is a worrying sign. That is a sign that there is something stalking the waters that might be hunting them. They are moving to protect themselves. And so that tells you that there is likely a Haxaloth, which is a large vehicle-sized sort of eel-like thing with rows of teeth that is a camouflaged striking animal lurking somewhere in the depths, and that you might be the largest prey. So tell me how you are navigating knowing that there is something potentially stalking the water that you may need to avoid or engage.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Having come into contact with these early in their stay on this planet, and learning to pick up on the Zarks movement, which are normally very lazy, and will are food motivated. I'd say that I think we're going to be looking to face this dangerous area, but do so with trepidation and stealth. I think that there might be some trickery involved with taking a beacon or an electrical pulse signal, and because that's also similar to how eels work, is they pick up on those electromagnetic fields, and there's something similar going on here with the Haxaloths. So they can use it to create a signal as a decoy as they try to maneuver around.
I love that. That's fantastic. I think this is going to be facing a danger. I think there is an imminent threat here. And it sounds like you are rolling plus shadow, but it also sounds like because you are repurposing the gear in your ship, it also might I would probably allow you to add your gearhead advantage here as well, your gearhead asset here as well.
Okay. And if I recall from the secure an advantage move, since we got the strong hit,
that is an additional +1. So you've got an additional plus. So you've got +2 on top of your shadow, which is +1 to a +3 total.
Cool. And we're gonna rolling that. So we rolled a 4, +1 for shadow, and then you said +3 for adds.
+2 for adds, 1 for your gearhead, and 1 for your advantage.
Perfect. So then that is a 7. And we are on our D10s. We rolled a 9 and a 1 for a weak hit.
For a weak hit. Okay, perfect. I am going to I know exactly what the weak hit is. The weak hit, as you are making your way, you kind of release this sort of pulse. You watch this colorful, gigantic creature swoop down, kind of like you drop it, it blinks for a few moments, and it is swallowed immediately by this thing the size of about an 18-wheeler, just like swims underneath your tiny little bubble craft, snatches the thing, sails by. You putter past it, you make your way to the ship. But as you do, overhead, in the glistening light above the water, you see a shadow move overhead, followed by like a distinct like flash of light, which as a courier, as a Starforged, as a traveler, that was a jet that was a cruiser and a jet engine. Somebody just flew a craft over your head.
Oh, very.
But you don't have time to think about what that means just yet, because you've got to get to the.
We've got to compartmentalize.
As you think about that, you notice that you make your way. You've arrived at the Mabrian, which is a larger version of the ship that you're on, of the Ultraviolet, right? If the Ultraviolet is a if the ultraviolet is a mail carrying shit is a mail truck, this is one of the like shipping things that carries them from post office to post office.
Awesome. Yeah.
So this is a larger, more industrial like transit ship. How are you boarding, and what are you doing once you board the ship?
Okay, yeah. I would like to search for either. I would first like to search for a working hatch that we could like go through. Maybe there was one that was already opened, so that way.
You can find one pretty
Okay.
easily. Like you can find, it's not necessarily a hatch, but there is just a straight up hole in the door.
Perfect.
Like there is straight up a chunks of the ship have been ripped off or blown off. Like it took a lot of damage getting here, and so you can kind of like make your way in. You will have to deboard from your bubble vessel, but you can like get in. It's partially submerged, so you're usually between knee and waist deep, but like you're able to kind of navigate the ship itself. And when you're on board the Mabrian, you notice this is not just a courier ship. Like it's a transit ship similar to the Ultraviolet, but it seems to also be like a research, like there's lab equipment here. There is the remnants of laboratories, of research stations, of consoles. Like this seems to be also a like mobile research lab of some kind.
Oh, interesting. Would I be able to notice any prominent guild emblems or like any signs of people still on the ship, or is it abandoned? And does it look like new or old? I guess
it looks new. There is a guild crest on it, which is the guild of. Let me think of a name. There is the guild or the insignia of Clan Karsa. Clan Karsa is they are a clan that is like brought together. They have a bit of a reputation for being what's the politest way to say mad scientists? Like they have a reputation for being a little bit out there and sort of like a clan that actively seeks out people that have flushed out of like various educational practice, or like various like researchers that have been kind of like shunted from their clans, and sort of like picking up sort of misfit toys and people that push things a little bit too far.
Gotcha. Okay, and I think to add on to this is a clan that has actively been here in the sector against the Clan Reuben.
Mm-hmm.
They have, while war in this sector has been, it's not full scale war. It's not Star Wars, but everything is subterfuge. Everything is small acts of force can cause big changes in control over and in the political landscape of the sector. And I think this is the one that like these two have been going head to head. They're definitely rivals in this case.
I like that. I really, really like that. Okay, yeah, you are so that you're able to sort of piece all of this together.
In fact, they hold contempt for our clan. I'm going to say specifically.
Okay. I like that. I like that a lot. So you're able to sort of like walk around this space. It's fairly abandoned. It's very quiet, but you do notice one, like you make your way. You're able to like move around the ship pretty comfortably. You're able to locate sort of the engine room, the facilities room, the boiler room, for lack of a better way to put it, and find, like, sure enough, the temporal radiator is shockingly intact, like much of the ship. But the other thing that you notice is there is a distinct beeping nearby, which is probably what your ship picked up on. It seems there is a comms message being broadcast from this ship.
Oh, interesting. I believe that Static would, having gone through procedures and survival training courses over the years, I believe that they would want to search for that and shut it down, even if it goes as far as like having to shut down all the electrical before in systems before excavating this out. Otherwise, they're going to have a harder time based on the recent visitors above the surface here.
Right. Yeah. You're able to find the comms. You know, this is the ship structure is fairly similar to the Ultraviolet, and there are only so many structures of ships, right? Like, there's only so much.
Absolutely, yeah.
Only so many ways you can build a ship. So you're able to find the comms array pretty quickly, and you are able to you're able to locate and like identify like the signal that is being sent out. I guess my question is, do you listen to what it's saying before you shut down the systems?
Yes, most certainly. And I would say that they've got like, when you have like 3% on your communication devices, and so you put it into airplane mode. I think for this moment, they're gonna take it off of airplane mode. If the device, or if this sounds important, they'll download it onto their device, taking it out of airplane mode for that.
Yeah. The signal that is being sent. This is a message from a Dr. Maltriux. Dr. Maltriux, commander of the jump ship Mabrian. This is a message to Hub Station. What is a? Let me think through a Hub Station. Hub Station Glory's Grasp. This is a distress signal to the Glory's Grasp Hub Station, which is a hub station that is thoroughly in control of that is thoroughly owned that is sort of a major hub for Clan Karsa in particular. Dr. Maltriux in it describes that this ship, the Mabrian, the one that you were standing on, was able to identify like a core groundbreaking connection between hold on, I lost my spot. There it is. Between the a core connection between the experimental FTL drives that power so much of your space travel, and like not just that they are related to the sundering, which is this sort of fracturing of reality, but like a direct connection the likes of which has never been understood before. And they are saying that like they are calling for distress because they are saying to have someone come and get this because it could have, galaxy changing repercussions or implications for how travel can be achieved. Like that's and it's got like a link to some files like stored on their databanks that you can access pretty easily, especially since the entire system of the ship is fairly a wreck.
Oh wow. I think they're in this moment, their adrenaline starts pumping as I see that they have the FTL drive correlation. There is an isolation in the files as to what is causing the tear, and so they're going to immediately start taking out the device and try to download this information onto their communication device. So
you're able to download it pretty easily.
Okay.
Like the ship's comms being damaged are fairly. The ship's comms being fairly damaged are like it makes it so that like there are ample backdoors for you to like sort of pierce through. And so you're able to download this information pretty easily.
Okay, then it's for the hard part. I think due to the amount of time that had taken, they're starting to feel a lot of anxiety and stress about getting this and getting out, especially due to the importance of this information. And so I think I would like to, I think Static is moving with speed and agility to try to, using their intergalactic multi-tool to unhook all the components from this temporal radiator and get this out as quickly as possible.
And that is going to be I think this is going to be, I'm going to make this a face danger. Fantastic. Because I think that this is like, if this goes wrong, it goes wrong bad.
Yeah.
And I think this is plus edge, +1 for being a gearhead.
And they've bypassed safety protocols. Normally this would take hours to make sure everything's prepped before, but they are bypassing all of that in the need of importance here and speed. Oh, okay. So we rolled a 4, +1 for gearhead, plus and 1 because of our edge. So we rolled a 6. Our challenge die, the 2 D10s, were both 1s. So that's a strong hit with a match.
Strong hit with a match. All right. I am going to pop open our custom asset sheet. I'm going to pop this open, and I'm going to roll some dice.
Isn't that fun?
To see. I love it. I'm going to pop this open and roll 2d10 to see what pops up on our to see what twist we're adding to the scenario. That is a 64. Yep, okay. This actually maps out perfectly.
So what do they find?
What do you find? You're able to pull this. You are able to pull this immediately. You are able to, the result of a 64 is the important item, the Starship Ultraviolet. Which is great when a plot twist involves the thing that is your ship. That's a good touch. And I think what it is, you get a notification on like your wristband computer, like your personal computing device. Like you get a notification. You get an emergency alert. You are able to so this is a hit, a strong hit with a match, which is the best possible scenario, which is you're able to do this quickly, and you are able to do this cleanly, and you're able to do this, like, the way that you're able to do this, I think that, like, as you're working, one of the ways that you're able to do this is by actually, you've realized that you have 2 choices. I'm gonna put this in your
Love a good hard choice.
You can do one of 2 things. You can shut down the ship. Like, you've realized that the controls are in a way that, like, you can fully just shut off the Mabrian and pop out the radiator. Like, it will go dark. It will be, untraceable according to untraceable by any standards. Like, you can make this ship a shadow on the surface. You can also overload the engine and send the whole thing blowing sky high, which would ensure that, like, none of the other research that is on here could be found, but is going to be a very loud, very destructive thing that is going to make, like, your position very well known. At that moment, you receive a notice on your personal computer that the security systems on the Ultraviolet have been activated, meaning that someone has tripped one of the wires, one of the, like, door alarms, like, something, an alarm has triggered telling you that there is something or someone having tripped a security measure on or near the Ultraviolet.
Okay. So because I want the Ultraviolet, I'm going, and I know that alarm went off, I'm going to insert the code virus that we have to initiate an unstoppable self-destruct on this ship that I'm on. And just get out of there. Hopefully causing a distraction away from my ship. Causing them to divert their attention this way.
I love it. I love that a lot. Yeah, you enter the code. engine override, like the core will melt down in 3 minutes. You load back into your bubble ship, and I am going to have you.
With the
I have
heavy techno
actually
playing, it's the ship begins to rattle.
I am actually going to have you roll. Me. You're going to roll a progress move. I've been tracking a progress track, which was recover the temporal radiator from the jump strip Mabrian. And I'm going to have you roll your d6. Roll your roll your result.
Ooh.
Or roll your 2d10. Roll your final result. Against a result value of 9. Like, you have done remarkably well here. And I want to see what you get.
Okay, so I'm rolling the challenge dice, the 2d10.
Yes.
And
you're comparing it to the total that has been gained by each major milestone of this challenge that you have overcome, which is building a crowd, like getting to the ship, finding the core, undoing the core. You have done like all of this. You've got a 9, so you are in a good position. Your result is 9. So what are your challenge dice results?
As we head our way back to the craft that we made and jerry rigged, we get a 3 and a 10 on the challenge dice.
That is a weak hit. Okay. Let's see. What is a weak hit on a progress result is? Yeah, okay, I know exactly what it is. It is that, like, you have accomplished your task, you've got the radiator, you've got the ship, you've make your way, we get the big explosion, and sure enough, I think that, like, we see, you emerge, and you see two small person, small, like, single person fight, like, you look up in time to see 2 single person fighters, like, surveying the area of the explosion. The mixed result at the end of this is that you accomplished your goal, but at the same time, there is unmistakable attention put onto your place and the place of that explosion site are known. And I think, like, you arrive back at the island, you make your way, and you get to the ultraviolet just in time to hear a blaster, a pulse rifle, a flak cannon. So one of these big guns that just shoots a mass of burning hot metal, a big nasty gun, cock and heat up directly behind you.
Oh man, okay. With that distinct sound, they are going to freeze and turn around to see, or not even turn around, just announce that they surrender in this moment.
Okay.
No, you know what? I'm going to roll real quick to just... Okay, you know what? I asked the Oracle. Static dives for cover behind one of these coral structures and is going to enter the fray.
All right. You look up, you dive, you look back, and you see a fairly well-known bounty hunter. And I say fairly well-known because Angel Mercutio is pretty unmistakable. Angel is pretty unmistakable, especially because, true to his name, Angel has mechanical, sort of almost clockwork angel wings surgically implanted onto his back. It's unclear if they work or not, or if it's just a thing that he was certain looked cool and imposing, but, like, to his credit, it looks pretty fucking imposing.
These are, like, super smooth and polished black obsidian wings. I think that these are telltale signs of, like, black iron.
Yeah. They are black iron, and they are, it's this clockwork, and they're currently in the folded position, and, like, having never seen Angel in person before, only having heard tales, like, some people claim that they can unfold and fly, and some people are like, they're just for aesthetic, but it's clearly what is telling about them, and this is whether this is a skill thing or a money thing. They are clearly tiny parts that have connected together, like I like that clockwork aesthetic, so it's like all little tiny parts, which means that they have taken a fairly considerable amount of black iron and broken it into tiny, tiny pieces to build this incredibly intricate, whether it is a decorative thing or a functional thing. Like, this is an incredibly delicate and intricate construction that has been built with this material.
Oh, damn.
And is walking. I'm giving him a cowboy hat because, like, if I have the option, it just feels nice. And he's kind of walking, just kind of like,
I think,
you really shouldn't have done that. Like, this could have been a whole peaceful thing, but you had to do the one thing that means that now we gotta kill you.
I think they're going to let them talk. And in this moment, while they're letting them talk, they're going to be searching their gear, looking for something to use to get an advantage here.
Okay. So start out. We're going to start out by having you enter the fray. You've been forced into a fight. So roll me. I'm going to say this is probably wits because you have been caught in a trap.
Perfect. Okay. So we're going to roll wits. I'm going to screen grab this just because it is another strong hit with a match.
Hell, good. Excellent. Love this.
Okay. So with a strong hit with a match, on a strong hit, you take both 2 momentum, bringing us to, I believe, 9 momentum. Mm-hmm. And we're in control for the next phase of the fight here.
I love that. I know exactly what the twist is, too.
Perfect.
And that is that I have this marked as a 6 clock. I think between these 2 matches, this has already been filled 4 spaces. The sky is dark. Clouds are rolling in. There are you are seeing arc lightning through the clouds. This hurricane is almost here, and I think I'm going to introduce this unknown danger here in the most dramatic way possible. I think you start you feel this, like you feel this in the back of your spine. You there is a flight instinct that you feel in the back of your spine that is telling you that a storm squid is approaching. And, you immediately, the first thing that you feel is this immediate sense of, like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. And it is beyond just basic survival instinct. There is, like, you feel in the back of your mind, like, you feel it in your mind that someone or something is telling you, run, now, go, you will get hurt. And the other thing that you feel is, like, buried in your like incepted is the only way to describe it. You feel incepted in your mind is this piece of knowledge, or this phrasing that the storm squid does not ride the storm squid is the storm. You hear this and you feel it, and and that pulsing statement, the storm squid does not ride the storm squid is the storm, and that impulse to get out of the way, there is a storm squid coming, is pulsing through your mind as all of the signs of this hurricane are crashing down upon the both of you. And you see Mercutio tense up, and you see him kind of process the same thing, but he still keeps that gun carefully aimed at you.
Okay. Yeah, I can feel this low guttural roar that's at a decibel below human hearing, but it's causing my body to heat up. I think, I'm going to take this coral rock that's a lot more brittle than it's like, because it's built by it's built by over the eons, and it's not solid rock. So they're going to take this and lob it at him or at her, and then
at him.
So, okay, so they're going to take this coral rock section as these little alien crustaceans scatter and lob it at Angel, yelling, "Every angel gets its wings!" and trying to aim to activate these wings to fly up and then run for it.
That's great. That's fantastic. I think this is probably... I might call this a... I think this is going to be a strike move. I think this is a strike move plus edge.
Perfect, yeah.
Is how I think I'm going to give this.
Yeah, because when you attack at a distance, roll edge.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I will roll that. Okay. We rolled a 4 plus 1 for edge, which is 5, versus a 2 and a 4 for a strong hit.
Strong hit. Mark progress twice. Which gives us... This is a... Angel is a dangerous threat, which means that 4 spots on this progress track have been filled, and you stay in control. You pop him right in the head, and sure enough, with a thump, the wings fill out. And I think that what happens here is that the wind kicks up, and with the wings out, you learn pretty quickly that those are some pretty functional wings. He is hurled into the air. And, for a moment, he is just kind of sent tumbling, but then you witness a jump jet, like a small personal jump jet right at the base of each of the wings kind of pop, and he kind of starts to fly back towards you. Not necessarily, like, with precision, like, it's not necessarily like he's flying a jet. He's certainly gliding on wind, so it is, like, hectic and chaotic, so you maintain control, but he is flying in your direction at this moment.
All right, I think, yeah, between Angel's pursuit and just the flight response, Static is going to barrel towards the ship's hangar, which should still be open based on where the notification, the emergency was coming from.
Yep.
And that, let's see, in moves.
I think it's going to be gaining ground.
Yes, we're going to gain ground. We are in control with that strong hit. We take action in the fight to reinforce our position and move towards our objective. We are doing it with edge.
That feels right.
Oh, okay. I rolled a 6. Plus 1 is a 7. But that's against a 7 and a 10. So I feel like now is when I can't do it yet. No, you know what?
You've got enough momentum that you can turn this into a weak hit.
We're going to do it for a weak hit and just hope the engine and all the parts are going to work out.
You get into the ship. You take a weak hit. Choose one. Do you mark progress? Do you take 2 momentum or plus 1 on your next move?
I think we're going to do the progress.
All right, so that bumps us up to 6 slots filled. I think that, like, you're able to get onto the ship. You get onto the ship. You're still in control, but he has touched down, and he is, like, trying to take a shot, but there is, like, debris flying in all directions.
Oh, yeah, we hear the whistling. You know those wiffle balls?
Yeah,
that's what these coral rocks are doing in volcanic basalt as they begin flying around from the gale force winds.
So what are you doing? You're still in control.
In control. I'm going to begin by using my PCU on my wrist to begin shutting the ship up. And I'm going to then activate proximity programs that I had set up to stop any other wildlife from getting in here, which are going to be mines that were embedded at one point, but now with these winds are beginning to fly around. And they are like stun mines that I set up.
Yeah, great. That's going to be gaining ground. I think that's going to be gaining ground with wits.
Cool. Can I argue for the gearhead?
Oh, absolutely. 100% you can argue for gearhead.
There
for sure.
we go then. Okay, so we rolled a 3 plus our 3 for wits plus 1 add from gearhead.
That's 7 total.
7 total versus a 2 and a 7 for a weak hit.
Weak hit. Do you want to mark progress, take momentum, or add 1 to your move?
I'm going to take 2 momentum.
Okay.
Putting us at 4.
I think that puts you at 4 momentum. Plus 5 momentum because you also get 1 momentum for
You're
gearhead.
Right.
And so I think that the weak hit is that, like, I think you blow one of his wings off. I think a
Cool.
mine goes off. It blows off a wing. He clamors. He is bloody and burnt. But he still manages to like just in time, kind of like roll up the ship.
Oh, he's on the
And
roof.
you are. I think that he is. I think he is on the roof of the ship. What are you doing at this moment?
In this moment, I'm going to run to my cabin, and I'm going to be equipping my black iron sword. That
Oh snap!
yeah. So that way, we're preparing for a close-up encounter here, which I think is another gain ground.
Yeah.
Or
No.
what do
I
you
think that you're able to just. I think that because I think that what I'm going to
Yeah.
say, if we see you run, we see you grab the sword just in time to see him kind of wrench open ever so slightly the rear hangar bay and kind of like drop down inside, and the two of you are now like standing at each other with flat cannon versus black iron sword. You maintain control. You may roll to strike
Okay.
if you are in control and assaulting a foe at close quarters.
Yeah, as they take the sword, you see written on the blade, the crafter of this blade, Saren Jin, and it glows with a reddish ember, and they then begin to strike towards Angel here, and that is, I'm sorry, you said with iron or with edge?
With iron, you're at close quarters.
Fantastic. We're rolling with iron, and boom. Okay, this is a 4 plus 2 for 6 versus a 1 and a 2 for a strong hit.
Strong hit. That fills up the progress track, which means that you can, in fact, take decisive action and accept. Unless one of those results is a 10, you have at least guaranteed a weak hit.
Absolutely. We're going to take that decisive action as these two Starforged beings collide into each other.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, we roll the 2d10, an 8 and a 4.
Strong hit. You prevail, take +1 momentum. You are able to. How do you strike Angel down? Do you let him live? Like, what is the success look here like in this moment? He is defeated.
I think the arm that they were holding this giant flat cannon in, robotic. We see that it was actually like skin over metal as the sword slices into it and causes that arm to malfunction and spark, sending them back into the hangar. And then they activate on their wrist the hangar bay door, which opens up, and the wind pressure sucks them out as they begin flying around, leaving them stranded here on the planet. As we close it back up, and other supplies and gear that we had collected and had strewn out in our prolonged stay also flies out the vacuum as the doors then hang up, colliding back together. And as the door begins to close, we did leap forward to grab that radiator before it also got sucked out. And then we're able to take a couple breathers, collect ourselves, and Static moves towards the engine room where the adjunct bay that has the place for the broken radiator, and they're able to get that in, or try to get that in, before the storm overtakes the location.
I think I am going to call this a face danger. I think that there is time, and you still feel that pulsing in the back of your neck, like run, run, run. I think there is a sense of like whether if you are doing it carefully, it is a sense of overcoming that fear. And if it is a sense of if you're doing it quickly, then it's a matter of doing it quickly and safely. So do you want to use wit or edge here?
I think that primal fear is something they have to overcome as their hands are shaking. And so they're going to be doing this with resolve.
Okay.
Which I believe we add heart.
All right. Yeah. Add your heart to that.
Ooh, okay. We rolled and got a 4 versus a 6 and a 4 for a miss.
I think I know exactly what I want this miss to be. The challenge to me is I think not that, like, you are skilled enough that you're able to get it to get it connected. I think it's a matter of time, and you get it connected just in time to feel the entire ship ripped out of the water and hurled into the air.
Oh, yeah.
You are flying. The ship is in the air, but you are not flying the ship. And then suddenly you stop hard. Like you are hurled into a wall. I'm going to have you take 1 health.
Fantastic.
As you are hurtled into a wall. And suddenly you realize that that the ship is frozen in the air. And you look out the window, and there is a hurricane blasting and arc lightning flaring on all sides behind you. And you make your way to the front cockpit, and staring at you with holding the ship in the arms of one of these hurricane clouds is a colossal squid. And it cocks its head slightly at you. Not even necessarily predatorily, just curious. As it just sort of stares you and the ship eye to eye. What do you do?
I think as we stare into the eye of the hurricane, we're going to try to activate the ship's engines and try to scare this thing from let us go.
I think that is going to be a face danger. I'm going to call that wits. I think this is acting with a plan, and this is acting with cunning. I think this is face danger with wits.
Okay. We rolled 3 plus 3 for wits, giving us a 6, versus a 2 and a 10 on the challenge die for a weak hit.
Okay. I think I'm going to have you take a point of supply damage, because I think that
it's not letting go as
I think that you eventually it's not that you're you eventually get away from it, but it takes blasting more of your ship's fuel and more of the energy of the ship than maybe you could afford to. It causes damage. I think your supply takes a hit by 2, knocking you down to 3 supply, as you have to fire off a tremendous amount of fuel and resources to you don't scare it, but you eventually just pull past its defenses. You eventually just muscle your ship through this arm of a storm, punching through storm clouds. We see the ultraviolet take off into the sky and return into space where you belong. And so now you are faced with one final decision as we end our scenario today. You have galaxy-changing information on board this ship. Clan Karsa seems to have an understanding of how to use this information, but it also comes with the knowledge that they may try that whether this is your own clan's understanding of how they operate or an accurate assessment, they may not use that knowledge for the betterment of everyone. They may only use it for the betterment of themselves. There's also the option that you could give this information to your own clan, but who knows if they even have the resources, the capacity, the capability to use this for all it's worth. Do you risk this knowledge? Do you risk this knowledge going to waste to avoid putting it in the wrong hands?
I think that with this knowledge, that we could stop the sundering, or that there's the potential to, is worth getting that back to the clan. For the main reason that perhaps we can use it as a rallying cry to bring others to our side in the longer game that is to be played here in the Forgotten Web.
I think that the final thing we see is the ultraviolet touches down. We see fighters take off from a Clan Karsa stronghold, and we see the ultraviolet approach, and we see those fighters rear up for battle, pause, and then strafe to 2 sides, clearly letting you in. We see you touch down, and we see a meeting a scientist, their arms crossed, and we get a moment of acknowledgement that Clan Karsa, the goal was always to end the Sundering. There's this acknowledgement of, like, this was always our goal, and if Clan Reuben can, as you've proven that you can, help us in that, then maybe this resource war was a fool's errand to begin with. It's not necessarily a guarantee that everything is going to work out. There's more work that needs to be done. But this individual chapter has closed, and it is closed because you took the actions that you took. We see you climb back onto the ultraviolet and blast off into the infinite darkness of space. And that's game.
Wow. I love it.
That ruled. That ruled. That was fantastic. I'm so happy with that. That kicked ass. I'm super, super happy. Thank you so much for coming on the show and playing this with me. That was the best. I'm so happy with that.
Yeah, no, that was a cinematic romp. I love that.
And and what was great was to peel back the curtain a little bit and give some post-game GM notes. You had rolled up a bunch of the truths of the setting, and I was laughing because you hopped on. You were like, "I hope this wasn't too much." And as we were working through it, I looked over everything, and it was like you're on an island planet, and here's a bunch of the animals, and I was like, "Okay, here's how they interact." And I was like, you're looking for ship gear. I was like, you gotta, and you're a courier, so you've got to I was like, I want to make sure that you deliver something as a courier. So all of these pieces kind of came together, and I was like, if there's a clan battle, then that means that there is bounty hunters are like a noted thing in the setting. So all of the pieces of that cinematic, incredible thing were just the results of okay, here's the random result that we got. What is a natural thing that comes from that? And that is the kind of thing that I absolutely live for.
Yeah, I love the wireframe that all the tools give you here, and in those truths. I know as we were doing each scene, I'm like, okay, what's a cool thing we could pull? I think that could work. Oh yeah, the black iron. And then when you brought up the wings, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And only black iron can beat black iron. And they play off each other, and the founder clans, that's all something that was just there in the truths that we played off of, which, yeah, I think, and each thing escalating and bringing back up the growing storm with using the clocks to help pressure that situation. I love it.
It was sick. Yeah. It was great. This was fantastic. Thank you so much for playing this with me. I'm so happy with this. So real quick, before we wrap up, where can people find you and your work online?
Yeah, you can follow me on all social medias at Josh Meehan Art, or you can see my website at joshmeehanart.com, where you will see all the artwork that I've worked on, including Ironsworn Starforged, Spellwind, which was a actual play that I got to do some fantastic stuff for, and tabletop role-playing game Monsters that I've painted as well.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining me on the show today. This was the absolute best experience. And for now, I'm going to throw it over to me in the future so that he can wrap up with the show. Take it, future me. Thanks, past me. And thanks again to Joshua for coming onto the show. That game was everything that I love about Starforged in a nutshell. That game, the way that the story was randomly built from these tables and these prompts that spun into something really cool and inviting, and the way that Joshua's character handled all of these big, larger-than-life situations, this sort of, pulse-pounding action. I really loved getting to tell this story with you. This was such an absolute pleasure. I really loved this from moment one, and I could not be more grateful that we got to play this game together. Anyway, be sure to head to the show notes to check out more of Joshua's work, check out Ironsworn Starforged, check out the Kickstarter for Sundered Isles, which is currently running at the release of this episode, and be sure to follow Joshua on Twitter at JoshMeehanArt. Then while you're on Twitter, follow us at Party of One Pod, like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Party of One Podcast, find us on TikTok at Party of One Podcast, find us on Tumblr at Party of One Pod, subscribe to our newsletter at buttondown.email/Party of One Podcast, and join our Discord community at bit.ly/Party of One Discord. If you enjoy the show, there's a lot of ways to support it. You can support us financially at patreon.com/JeffStormer or Ko-fi.com/JeffStormer. You can give us a nice iTunes review, shout us out to a friend, give us some love on social media. You can buy some Party of One merch at bit.ly/PartyOfOneMerch. Or, if you're looking for more great podcast content, you can check out All My Fantasy Children, which is a character creation, storytelling, and world-building podcast that I make with my best friend in the world, Aaron Catano Saez. We take a listener-submitted prompt and spin it into an original fantasy character, populating a shared universe one story at a time. You can also check out Yazeba's Bed and Breakfast, which is an actual play about a heartless witch, a cozy house, and the many people making their homes inside. Both of those you can find wherever you get your podcasts. Party of One is, as always, produced and edited by Jeff Stormer and Jen Frank. Music for the show comes from the song Infinite Lives by Mega Ran featuring the D&D Sluggers, and the Party of One logo is by Evan Rowland. If you'd like to inquire about advertising rates, coming on the show as a guest, or about press coverage of the show, you can email me at partyofonepodcast@gmail.com. And, unless I am mistaken, that is all we do here. So until next time, thank you so much for listening. Remember to fight the forces of fascism every single day. Remember that self-love and self-care are radical and defiant acts of resistance. And as always, party on, everybody.